In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly.
The time has come again. The champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victorious. So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on, bring it to me. Defend your movie.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Defend Your Movie. I am your host, Sean Donnelly. Unfortunately, this week, I am Farreless. We are Farreless this week. She's doing all sorts of busy stuff. I don't know exactly what, but I'm sure it's hilarious, and there was probably weed involved, and Moana's got to be in there. Probably a couple of showings of Moana. But this week, we have a really funny show for you because we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to have a Cloverfield themed episode, and I brought in two of my pals, super funny guys, to do it with me today. Pat Stango, who you know from the show already. Hi, Pat. How are you?
Three Timers Club.
You're in the Three Timers Club, Pat. And then also, I think people know who you are because there was a little bit of a problem. And then the third person I have in for a totally different reason, and you'll find out in a minute, is very funny comic JP McDade, everybody. Give it up for JP.
Yay.
But the other person that let's really get an intro here because we had a little bit of a problem. We had a kind of a beef, and I'm really glad that we squashed that beef.
This is a huge moment in podcast history.
This is. I don't know if you guys remember, there was another podcast. It's called How to Watch Movies the Right Way, and it was talking a lot of shit about our podcast.
Whoa.
And
why was that, though?
What happened was I called one of the hosts on the podcast, his name Clayton Gumbert, and I said his name sounds like a cartoon donkey's name. That's what it sounds like to me. And
hilarious and accurate. Just from a neutral perspective, I'm sorry, just very dead on.
It never ends. It never ends.
And then we went back and forth for a few episodes. But now I'm happy to say that we have Clayton Gumbert in the studio, everybody.
Finally.
Finally, you're here.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
He has a wash rag on a stick, and he's washing his back.
You know what? You nailed me. I am wearing a barrel.
No, thanks, Clayton. Thanks for doing the show.
No, thanks for having me on.
Should we just tell people that it was a fake radio war? And I think it's
you
hilarious.
can keep saying that, but it was not that on
You
our
guys-
end.
That's because you were in the wrong, so you want to just kind of like pave over it. But I will say that I'm glad to be here, Sean. I love your podcast. But I will say that I was really hurt by not being able to defend Burnt. That was the only real part of it.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
We'll talk actually seriously?
Yeah.
I honestly...
Did you know, Sean?
I forgot. I honestly forgot. I'm not kidding.
But you knew, and then you forgot.
Well, because you told me a long time ago that you wanted to defend Burnt, and then when they came down and we were doing the fake radio war, which it was fake, but Pat's going to convince you it's not. I totally forgot that you wanted to defend. I would have totally had you in here to defend it. So I apologize for that, but that wasn't on purpose.
You.
That wasn't on purpose.
That hurt my heart.
And I would tell you right now if I was trying to fuck with you because of our radio war, but that's not true.
Okay. So is the beef squashed? In other words,
The beef is squashed. I didn't know you were serious about that, but now I do. Were you really serious?
Well, I was upset because that is one of my favorite movies.
It is, okay.
And the show, the podcast is Defend Your Movie, and I look at Burnt as my movie.
Okay. So I apologize.
He thinks it's more his movie than it's Bradley Cooper's movie.
Oh, yes. He has disavowed that movie, and I will just beat that drum till the day I die.
Well, I think it's one of those movies that gets so confused with Chef. You ever see Chef? People think Burnt is Chef. I've called Burnt
like
Chef like 15 times.
I could see No Reservation getting confused with Burnt, but not Chef.
What's No Reservation? Oh, is that with...
Anthony Bourdain.
No, it's the one with what's her face, Michael Douglas's wife,
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
Oh, and whoever
The guy who played Victor I, Frankenstein.
Oh, God. Yeah,
Gene
why
Wilder?
would you...
He's just
I,
a
Frankenstein.
lumpy face white guy.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that movie at all.
Yeah.
know Chef.
We're not going to defend that one.
If you want to defend Chef, you're more than welcome. No. If you want to come in and defend I, Frankenstein?
No.
But if you really think that I was serious about that, I did not. I really did forget that you told me that.
Oh, well, it's nice that you totally forgot something that I said from my heart, which that's way better. Thank you, Sean. That it wasn't malicious. It was more like you just don't even give a shit. So that's way better. Thank you. Now I can sleep at night.
No, that's not true.
I wish you would have done it to piss me off because that would have been better. If you were being a dick, that would have been awesome, but you just forgot, which is way worse.
I didn't realize how serious you took
loves
this
Bert.
movie. I
love it.
You love it way too much.
I got several emails and texts when it came on Netflix.
People
were like, have you seen that Burnt is on Netflix?
Really?
Yeah.
That's how much you love it.
There's a big post about it on ClaytonLovesBurnt.com.
Well, I really do apologize. I was trying to be honest, and I apologize.
Well, thank you, Sean.
Before we get started talking about today, what we're going to do. People are going nuts about the new Cloverfield movie, and if you don't know what happened, you guys know what Cloverfield is. Actually, one of the episodes I did for How to Watch Movies the Right Way, we all watched 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was the last Cloverfield movie. So if you don't know what it is, the first movie came out, I think, in
2006
or something like that, 2007.
Yeah.
And it was Cloverfield was a found footage monster movie, and they kind of like redid the genre of monster movies, and it was a big deal. Some people, I think it was like kind of split down the middle. Some people hated it, some people didn't. And it just created this brand new movie universe that I loved right away because it was like I love anything where they give you like no info. If you give me no info on something,
I know.
Now I'm dying to find out. And it's really cool, like aliens or something. I lose my mind and I want to find out all about it.
And they're really doing that with these movies right now.
Oh, absolutely.
They are giving you nothing.
Yeah.
Sean is
Nothing.
loving every bit of it.
Give me less. Give me less.
There's actually a new movie coming out where the Cloverfield monster attacks Dunkirk, so there's no dialogue and there's no information about what's going on.
Well,
swatting planes.
Actually, we'll get into that later, but
That's accurate.
That is accurate. They've already filmed Cloverfield 4, and it takes place in World War II.
Yes!
Oh, see,
Yeah.
this is okay.
Saving Private
all right, so
Cloverfield.
time out on that.
So that's how over the top Cloverfield is, that your joke was dead on. You came, I was like, what's the most ridiculous thing? And they're like, already in the can.
Yep. Already shot it. Onto the fifth
Green
one.
lit, done.
Well, here we go. Let's take time out on that. First off, I'd like to do is JP McDade, super funny comic. He loves movie quotes. And right, aren't
Thank you so much.
You're a huge fan of movie quotes.
I would just say, like, overall, I'm a big cinephile. Big cinephile. I've seen dozens of films.
you've
And,
seen dozens of films.
Yeah, probably a dozen. And one thing, just when you think about the greatest films of all time, like Chicago, House of Sand and Fog, Squares and Rectangles, Chevrolet Man, Midnight in Toluca Lake, The Kleenex, September Down Under, things like that. They're all bound by one thing that's like the great quotability of them. People love to talk about movies, quote them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And one of your favorites is the 1996 hit.
Cinematic masterpiece, a real achievement of the form, Space Jam. Space Jam follows the epic of disgraced former basketball player Michael Jordan and his redemption story to win back his son. I'm not clear on the whole plot, but I just have I've compiled a number of my favorite quotes, from this film.
Okay, and I want to do this. We're going to do this with Pat and Clayton.
Sure.
You guys are going to tell us what if you remember these quotes from Space Jam.
Okay, the first one, real simple. Get it out.
Was that in Space Jam?
Remember that one?
Get it out.
I mean, it's gotta be.
It's probably, there was a basketball probably stuck in something important, and Bugs Bunny yelled, "Get it out!"
Yeah, like his rabbit hole. It was stuck in the top of his rabbit hole.
That's very close, but it's actually Bill Murray says that when he rejects one of the Monstars early on in the championship game.
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. That is a good
Bill Murray just tosses one into the stands. Do you have one on your sheet?
I do. I have one on my sheet. Hold on one second. Let me get it right here.
It's just so rich with quotes.
Quote.
It's kind of hard. It's like seeing a menu where everything is delicious.
I have one from Bugs Bunny, and it's a bit. That's ball, folks.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That is
like they're playing basketball.
Yeah, that's good.
So he said a bit. That's ball, folks.
Oh, thanks for the clarification.
And I have another one. I have another one up here. It's somebody said at one point in the movie said, "Hey, why is Newman in this?" They said it's very. I thought it was kind of odd they did that.
Little breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, I thought it was weird they did that.
Yeah. That's what you get from John David Herman films, like Space Jam is a real auteur. It's his trademark.
John David Herman. It sounds like a serial killer.
Yeah, director of Space Jam.
And murderer of John Lennon.
Do you have any other ones?
How about this one? I'm very, very tired.
That's Elmer Fudd.
I'm not sure. I don't
think
remember
that's
who says that.
A
but
character doing an Elmer Fudd impersonation.
Oh, is that what it is?
I'm not sure it has anything to do with Fudd. I haven't seen the film since Friday, so I don't know. It could really be anyone. But just nevertheless, a lovely quote that stands on its own.
No, it's a great movie, and also you love. What happened was you made a post. The reason I asked you in is because you did a great post the other day where you went on and you were like, "Hey guys, Goodfellas is on Netflix. Is that true?
It
Goodfellas
is.
on
Yeah,
Netflix?
Goodfellas, the Godfather trilogy, and a couple other.
Now that's
big
not the last
ones.
place it's going to be. Goodfellas has officially been on every channel.
The best is when it pops up on Lifetime.
On Lifetime is the
That's
best.
great.
Oh yeah,
It's
when
the
they
best
have
6 hours of television. With commercial breaks, Jesus Christ.
I love
So-
to just know what I'm going to do all day.
So basically, what happened was you were like celebrating it, so people weighed in with their favorite quotes from Goodfellas.
Yeah.
And I'd like to read some of you. I'll give a credit where credit's due. A lot of comics did these. Ronan Hirschberg, very funny guy, wrote, "Just because you're a made guy doesn't mean you have it made." I love that from
That one could be.
Goodfellas. Robbie Goodwin said, "I'm walking here." That's Goodfellas. "These are for your mother and sister. Make sure you give them to her."
Wait, that's in there. Right? That's in there.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think this guy got the whole point. I think it's famous quotes.
Right.
Byron Sadiq, you don't know what you're doing.
Not grammatically incorrect quotes.
Jake Hart wrote, "The way I saw it, everyone takes a meatball." That's in there. That's a famous quote.
That's just, I feel like now we're going to get into just slandering Italians territory, and I don't know how I feel about that.
No, that's the beginning of Act 3. That's as far as I can
how's it-
remember. Everyone takes a meatball.
How's it feel, Pat?
Do you remember this? You guys remember this? Sean Ryan wrote, remember this quote? "Paulie and I had a really great time at the zoo yesterday." Somebody else wrote this. I can't find it. I remember seeing it though. They go, "Ever since I can remember, I always wanted to be a prankster." Remember what he said?
That was Sal Volcano who wrote
Sal
that one.
Volcano? I chimed in as well. I'm trying to find mine.
I found yours.
What was mine say again?
What we really should do is hijack a truck full of those roly clothes hanger things. We use those all the time.
Remember when they said that?
That was actually the Scorsese's mother who delivered that.
Yeah, it
Her
was.
cameo appearance.
Just why don't you find yourself a nice girl?
I think most of these lines get bleeped out of the broadcast version.
They do, that's
why
why-
we don't remember them as much.
Absolutely. Or they get cut for time.
Yeah. They get cut from time,
Yeah. Oh, Pat, you won't like this one. Ezra Steed, who I don't know who that is. He's a comic, right? Ezra Steed?
I think so.
Yeah. He wrote, "Pasta Fazooli." Italians are the only people that you can be completely racist towards.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
The level of racism toward Italians hasn't changed since like 1890.
Wait till Tony Danza is president. We're going to put an end to that bullshit.
Were we great guys? No, but we were good fellas. That's Ron Krasnow. That I don't know. I don't think that's from the movie. Oh, here you go. R.G. Daniels, you know R.G.
Oh, I love
He
R.G..
wrote spaghetti, gabagool, doo-wop music. It's mob time for this guy.
Just love the subtlety of the film.
Evan Williams said, "Paulie did the prep work. He was doing a year for contempt and had the wonderful system for doing the girl." This is a real quote. People don't get the... All right, I'm losing. I'm breaking the fourth
Keep
wall
reading.
of the thing. Oh, Paulie did the prep work. He was doing a year for contempt, and he had this wonderful system for doing the garlic. He trained tiny mice with little knives to slice it so thin it'd liquefy in the pan. That's all right. Okay, I'm gonna like that right there.
Meow.
Yeah. So you just love quotes, and I wanted to have you on to share some of these.
Thank you so much.
Do you have any other Goodfellas or Space Jam quotes you'd like to share?
My personal favorite Goodfellas quote was the very first line of the movie, the iconic line, "Jerry was the kind of guy who would double knot his flip-flops." And mean, can't tell you how many T-shirts I've seen that on.
Well, thank you so much, dude. I
Thank you.
appreciate you sharing cinematic history. I'd like you to come back. We'll do other movies.
Anytime.
And you can come in with your favorite quotes.
Always happy to share my knowledge.
Thank you. JP McDade, everybody. JP McDade.
Thank you.
Okay, now is the time of the show. Let's get down to the dirty business here.
yeah.
Let's the point of the show is defend your Cloverfield theory. I don't know if you guys have different ones. I love Cloverfield. I love the world. What works the best on this show is if people I like when you yell on the show and get passionate about
They
something.
love when you yell and stand up, when you
Yeah,
just yell at them at
yeah,
bars.
Yeah, people just want me to have a heart attack at 53 years old. So here's the thing. I love the whole world of Cloverfield. I don't know about you guys. And we saw the other movie together. That was one of the most fun times I had. It actually inspired me to start my own movie podcast.
So it is like Cloverfield, where in that timeline, that was the event that started the Defend Your Movie podcast.
Yes. I have
splitting off into an alternate multiverse.
I have my own universe,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. But the thing about it is that me and Pat were so giddy the other day. Clayton, I'm telling you this because I don't know if you guys texted as well.
We
On
did.
We were
Super
all
Bowl
texting
night,
too,
we were all
yeah.
texting.
Yeah.
Because
Couldn't give a half a shit about this
Super
sporting
Bowl.
event.
No, whatever. I don't care about that. So we're literally watching it, and then you see it's actually a brilliant marketing campaign.
Oh, it was great.
Because I heard about the plot of this already. Like, you heard about the rumblings of it, but I thought it was coming out next year, and I thought it was going to be in the theaters. Now, all right, we'll talk about what happened later, but watching the Super Bowl, they go, hey, look at this. This looks pretty cool, huh? They don't tell you what's going on after. And then 20 minutes later, they're like, hey, guess what? It's ready after the game. You can watch it. I went apeshit.
Yeah.
Me and Pat were texting back and forth like, holy shit, we can watch it after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I was so excited. Okay, so going into me watching, I don't know about you guys, and I'll let you speak in a second. I don't want to take over here.
Did
but
we all just...
Don't take over your own podcast.
We all started watching it like the second the game ended, right?
Yes, pretty
Yeah.
much. I got new snacks.
Okay.
I was at Dan St. Germain's house in California. It was me, him, and this girl he's dating that we're watching, this girl Sarah. It was really great. And we were watching the game, and then I went down and got new snacks, and then went back and then watched
Just
the movie.
skipping back to the apartment.
Oh, just
probably.
so excited.
Whistling.
Oh, yeah. This is all I have these days, fellas, okay? So I need Cloverfield and when Marvel stuff comes out, when big movie stuff comes out, that's what I enjoy.
But that was the best part about the Super Bowl was the new Mission Impossible trailer.
Yeah.
I freaked out about that. Seeing Bradley Cooper up in the owner's box at the Eagles game, I was like, just show him. I want to see his reaction. Just have a little picture-in-picture. I
They
don't care
showed
about
him
the
a
football
bunch,
game.
too.
Oh, it was so great.
Yeah, he looked great. He had a great sweatshirt on.
Oh.
It was cool.
Every time they showed him, I would get a text from Clayton's like, Coops is going to win it. He's in there. You kept texting, he's in the fucking owner's box. You were
course.
so...
I was so excited.
So let me tell you my theory. My whole excitement going into this was like, I love this universe already. After, we talked about it at length on your podcast. What was that 2 years ago? No, a year and a half ago.
Yeah, probably a year and a half ago.
Yeah, and we were we're like, oh my god, what does this mean? Because if in my calculation and my assessment, the first movie doesn't give you much at all. Like, it gives you, it's found footage, so you're seeing stuff blurry. You're just dealing with that one story, whatever it is. Then by 10 Cloverfield Lane, when I heard it was such a good, I was like, oh, it's such a brilliant idea, Cloverfield, because the sequels can be endless. And honestly, in my imagination, I thought of it as they're going to do just that one night in New York City, but from 15 different angles. So it's all personal stories based on the same monster.
Yeah, that
That's
was
not
everyone's
what's happening.
theory right after that movie. 'Cause I think that's what J.J. Abrams said. He's like, oh, we could tell the same story from lots of perspectives, which
Right.
I guess they are doing, but in
They're doing it in a much more
inventive.
inventive way.
Yeah, but it's not that simple, though.
It's not that simple. So then in comes 10 Cloverfield Lane, and you don't hear much about that. Now, the issue that comes up is you watch these movies, and then I forget when I found out exactly. 10 Cloverfield Lane is it's amazing. It's so good. It's just a standalone movie. It's good. And then you add in the Cloverfield universe into it, and that just makes it that much better. Here's the deal. afterwards or before it, you found out that it was a standalone script that got Cloverfield added to it. Now, the new thing is this, and you don't find out much. I forget what you find out in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I think the main things there are that John Goodman's character worked for the big corporation
Right.
that was referenced in the first movie as what everyone thought would be the reason for the monsters, though
Yes.
Cloverfield Paradox
I thought it was like
makes it seem
experimenting
like
or something, or-
Yeah, though Cloverfield Paradox doesn't really go to that corporation in this, unless I missed a couple of things. Like they show the Slusho product, but they never say that this space mission is funded by that corporation.
Yeah, they never mention the company that they're representing.
Right. I don't know what I remember from the first one. I remember thinking what
It
happened.
was like some
and reading
Japanese
online.
company, and then they definitely lean on that a lot in 10 Cloverfield Lane because John Goodman worked there.
And he was privy to all this
And
information.
didn't
Yeah.
he live on Cloverfield Lane?
He did live on Cloverfield Lane, which we figured had to be some kind of reference to whatever the company was doing.
Right. Exactly. So, but the thing with the first one was, I remember thinking, you're trying to figure it out yourself. I remember everybody thought what was happening was it was a mistake. One of this company's satellites at the end of Cloverfield, the first one, falls out of the sky. You see something fall out of the sky.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh, that's not the alien going to Earth. That's the thing that woke up the monster deep in the water, and it was sleeping dormant. It was some
Right.
sea creature that was sleeping dormant and got woken up and just started destroying New York City.
Right.
And then what I guess what I thought was going to happen was, oh, you're going to see elements of this cover up by this Japanese company, or what they were doing, or they knew about it, or like I didn't know what it was. You didn't know what. It was so little info.
The thing is, we still don't know because they give so little.
Like
every one
you
of these
get a
movies.
much bigger idea of what's going to happen. But here's the thing: now I'm hearing. So the new one is it's these people that are in the quasi near future. You could assume it's what 100 years in the future, 60 years in the future.
No, I think it's closer to us, but it's
closer.
definitely in the future from the first two movies.
Yeah, and the movie opens up with this couple, and I think they're supposed to be in New York or LA. I think they're supposed to be in LA. And they're talking about, hey, well, I don't know if he's going to want me on the mission. And he's like, of course you would. You're great. And it's the lead, and I forget her name, but she's great. And the boyfriend's telling her this. And then you cut to the ship, and they're on the ship, and the boyfriend's not there, but she is.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea, what happens is they're on there to basically to rev up and start a giant particle accelerator, like basically the original title of the movie was the God particle.
Mm-hmm.
So what it was they're trying to split an atom? Wouldn't that be what it is?
Yeah,
Like
they're basically trying to create enough. They need to create energy because there's an oil drought
Shortage, yeah.
on Earth, and it's going to be World War III over that. So they need to just
Create
a
endless-
giant
endless
blast and
energy.
make energy in space that they could use on Earth.
Right.
And then that's what screws everything up going forward.
And that's right, because they have this jump that happens, and they think it's going well, everything starts shaking, and there's a boom, the equipment breaks, and then weird stuff starts happening on the ship. So it's very Event Horizon-ish, but like a little bit lighter. It's not as hardcore as
Well,
Event
when
Horizon.
they finally get it going and they think it's going to work, and then there's the accident, they can't see Earth.
Right.
That was the big thing. They're looking for Earth and they can't find it. So they feel like they maybe jumped far away or something like that.
What did you think when you guys saw that in the movie? When they can't see Earth? I thought they went pre-Earth, and that's why.
You thought that you'd see dinosaurs and stuff.
I thought they were going to start jumping around in time, and they went pre-Earth. Pre-Earth, the planet even formed.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
just
so-
like Big Bang right after.
Pre-Big Bang.
Exactly.
Pre-Big Bang.
Or
No, right after Big
right
Bang.
after Big
Yeah.
Bang. Yeah.
Young Sheldon is right after
Yeah, what's
Big
right
Bang.
after Big Bang? I was going to say.
Yeah, so I'll say I liked the movie a lot, sort of up through that part. I was really interested in what were going to be the specifics of this movie. Because 10 Cloverfield Lane, like you said, standalone, even if it was not a Cloverfield movie, that's a great movie. Like if that was just, 10 Beverly Lane and it had nothing to do with Cloverfield, that would have been a great movie. And I think this movie was pretty good up to a point. And for me, I would say overall, I don't think it's a good movie. And I don't think they really followed up on any of the cool stuff that they set up, such as like missing
Like what?
like the Earth disappearing. I don't think that was just, in the end, to me, this movie was like a series of like little cool ideas that never really added up to anything. Like his hand his arm coming off and then moving around, like it's being controlled from another universe.
Yeah, they never paid off on
There was
that.
tons of little set pieces that were like kind of cool, but didn't really string together as anything.
Okay.
The rules of reality, I don't think were ever established as to how things were in this. They were in a different reality, or they were halfway between.
They were supposed to be in two different dimensions crashing. That's why out of nowhere, and you referenced it before before we started the show. That's why out of nowhere they hear screaming. They're trying to allude they're almost throwing off the audience in a way. They're going, we're in this new dimension, or you don't know they're in a new dimension yet. But after the big mishap, you hear these sounds that sound like a Cloverfield monster. It sounds like, and you're like, oh, that's basically a wink to the audience, I think, being like, there's going to be a Cloverfield monster on the ship.
Don't worry, guys, we'll give it to you.
Yeah. And then they opened up the hatch, which I'm like, why are they opening up this fucking hatch?
I know.
That's another thing you're right, that didn't make any sense. I was like, don't open it up. Like, it sounded like a monster, you know?
Right.
So they open it up, and it's like a human wrapped, and it was really gross, like wrapped within all the...
She had wires going through her.
Yeah, she was like part of the ship, but she was living, and I guess that's when the things crashed, that's where she ended up somehow. I don't know how that happened, but that's how she is. So it turns out she's a crew member of this ship from an alternate dimension, and a different time, different time. And in her time, they're actually in her dimension, but they're crashing it basically. They're on what was her ship, but her original crew isn't there.
That her original ship had crashed already.
Oh, it had
crashed. I think what happened was that space station hit the other space station when they jumped and knocked it out of the sky, and it crashed. So somehow when the parallel universes crossed over, she got stuck in the new station as it was pushing the other one out. Because that's why it crashed, and this one is existing in that universe.
Okay. So I didn't realize that. Yeah. So then she's there.
I think. I mean,
and
who
it's
knows
this really
with these
cool
movies?
idea that like, hey, she's left over from this other ship and whatever it is, but they're in her time period though. In her time period, the war that the Pat just
they're
mentioned,
further in the future,
and things are just fucked, and the war's been going on forever, not forever, for like 18 months, or whatever. So they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and there's all this weird stuff that happens. And you're right, there is no payoffs for the weird stuff.
Because they basically just set up this idea that, because they've crossed dimension, like basically this energy blast allows anything to happen. Mm-hmm. The ship becomes haunted, maybe? Like why is the ship turning on them? And like why does the ship start like filling with water in that scene? And why does the ship's wall take away the guy's arm?
Yeah.
Like they basically just say, hey, anything could happen because now it's dimensions and stuff.
Like, is it scientific or is it paranormal? Because in the beginning, Donald Logue, the actor Donald Logue, plays a guy who is being interviewed about how if they...
Which is also strange that he's in it just for that small period of time.
Well, you know what? They dropped the ball on this one because did you watch Bright? The movie Bright, the Netflix movie Bright?
I watched part of it, and I couldn't take it.
Well, because why have Donald Logue when everybody knows the new Anderson Cooper is Joe Rogan?
In Bright, they the way that they use like CNN in movies to get news bits out, they use Joe Rogan's podcast in that way. Where like Joe Rogan,
I did see that part.
And he was like commenting on basically giving you all the exposition through a YouTube clip of the Joe Rogan experience.
So that's why I was like, okay, you could have used Joe Rogan for this interview. Right there, I was out because he's the new Anderson Cooper. But no, like when he says that it could rip open the universe and release
space-time
demons.
continuum and release demons and monsters, which is basically, you're right. It's a very easy. It's wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Here you go.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's
then
basically
when it
him
does,
saying anything could happen from this point forward.
So right, but here's the thing: it's like it's very 1, 2, 3ish. So basically, the theory that this movie, which I guess is fact, that it was a standalone kind of a crappy movie that just got the Cloverfield thing thrown on it, is true because they mentioned that one line about monsters. And guess what? What the info they're giving you is basically that incident is what caused, but it gives you an idea also of like, basically we're fucked. If you're in that world, you're fucked because in that timeline of when the thing gets split, any time you're in, you could possibly have a monster there.
yes. That's the theory. If we're talking about theories, can we go into theories?
Yes.
Because I was reading, I didn't read that much online, but I read a little bit, and they were saying like one of the theories is that the Cloverfield movies don't match up timeline wise because the things that we're seeing aren't kind of hitting at the same time, right?
But
because if you see at the end of this movie, when the space station is streaking across the sky, that was supposed to be the thing that waked the monster.
That's
right?
what I was thinking.
But what happens is it goes streaking down. Spoiler alert, obviously.
Yeah,
it goes streaking down past the clouds, and then after that, this huge monster goes through the clouds, and it's the same kind of Cloverfield monster, but different looking.
Yes.
So the idea that people are having, what I believe, is that particle accelerator ripped open the fabric of space and time, and now, like you said, every dimension has the monsters. So what we're seeing in these different movies is different parallel universes dealing with the same thing.
Right.
So they don't have to
And
all
it could
match
be
up.
dealing with. It could be a Cloverfield monster. It could be a different looking monster. It could be anything.
Yeah, but
like because what happens on the ground in that timeline? Because what happens? The lead. There's a side story with her family, and she's with her husband, and her kids die because of this energy thing. She gets a power cell on Earth, and she steals one, puts it in her house. It blows up and kills just the kids.
Yeah,
and that's why she's sadder than normal. You know, she's not chipper. You know, whatever you want to call it. So
she doesn't smile enough.
Yeah. So what happens is she doesn't smile enough. Yeah, smile more. But that's basically what they're saying. Because I just thought she was acting normal, but then the other crew member was like, "You're not happy," and I'm like, "She seems fine." Yeah. But that's what it is.
That's
She's
how women
supposed
react
to be
to me.
sad. Right. So what happens is the guy on the ground is her husband, and he's basically. They're kind of trying to mislead you at times because when their thing happens, right? Like they show you the war almost happening on the ground, like in the timeline where her kids are dead. That's how you're kind of differentiating things.
Yes.
In one timeline, the kids are dead. In the new crew member's timeline, she knows the main character, the black woman, and her kids are still alive in that timeline for whatever reason. Because the thing crashed and it didn't happen. Whatever happened.
Well, in this timeline, the lead woman stayed home. She didn't go.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that point.
So
yes.
I think she was there because the other woman wasn't.
That's
so
right.
she was like, I know you and I know you stayed home.
Right, exactly. Sorry, yeah, that's what it was. But in the main timeline of the movie, the one they came from originally, her husband's on the ground and he's dealing with everything. And the first when the monsters, so the space-time continuum rips, and then there starts to be explosions in LA and on Earth, and you're supposed to think, I think right away, that it's the war. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to think it's the invasion of the Russians into America. Mm-hmm. But then you start to realize when the guy pulls over and there's a building bombed out, and I think it's a hospital. Or something.
The hospital got
hospital's
destroyed.
Bombed out or it's destroyed, and then you see the monster in the shadows. So you're like, oh, wow, okay. So what's showing you is exactly what you said.
And then he says at the end, there's a lot of them, right?
Right.
Like in that universe or whatever.
There's tons of them.
There's tons of monsters. Okay.
But even in the original unit, well, yeah, you don't know.
In the
You're
original,
right.
There's only one. Then
Well,
the
there's
second
one in New York.
there-
We saw a very personal version of it.
Right.
We saw from that one camera.
Right, that's true. There
Yeah.
might have been more.
There might have been more. And I think the whole idea was that the first two movies take place on the same night. Or the same...
They possibly could have been.
Yeah, possibly could have been. But I think what you realize now is like... Especially if you think about it, there's a lot of throwback stuff in 10 Cloverfield Lane. That could have been 96. I don't think they have crazy cell phones or anything like that. That could have been 96. So then that feeds into the space time continuum.
I think that in 10 Cloverfield Lane they do hide stuff enough that they could have went with it being the same night as Cloverfield. I don't think they blew that out.
Same night, but also it's different because remember there's a spaceship in that one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
that seemed high tech. So it's that spaceship seemed super high tech. The one that they see at the end of that. Though the other thing is, like, when we were talking about the fourth movie that's already been shot and coming out, and it's going to be during World War II, so that makes you believe that it is across time. So maybe the rip happens right before World War II in this other parallel universe.
Right. So, theories, whatever, you can say no. I think we have to throw out the idea they all happen on the same night, of course.
But in different, time period? Well, no, it can't be the same night.
No, it can't be the same
You're
night.
saying the same night is over, which is a reason why... Because it's funny because, right after we watched this, I texted you that I was finished, and then you just called me immediately.
Oh, absolutely.
And we talked about it, and I think there was like the giddiness of just the event
Yes.
that sort of
seeing it.
overshadowed whether we thought it was good or bad. We were just
Yes.
like happy that this thing we didn't know was going to happen happened. It's
Absolutely.
Like there's so few surprises in life
Yes.
anymore. We've done everything good we're ever going to do. Whenever you get something like
Yes.
this, it's just amazing.
Oh, it's a gift.
And
And you it's like you're a kid again, and you're like, okay, cool, we can talk about this for 10 minutes. Yeah.
So like we really were into it then, but I will say this movie does make me like the Cloverfield franchise a lot less because now they've just made it so that it's like, hey, anything could happen at any time.
Yeah.
It could be basically they've created this thing. My theory is that the Cloverfield monster is just this thing that J.J. Abrams created so that now he could make a couple of more bucks off of terrible movies that are already in production for him.
I really hope that's not the intent. That would really.
why aren't they
I think the guy
making-
loves movies enough not that would be his original intent. I think what happened was, because you think about the first one, Cloverfield, and the second one took so long to come out between each other that I was like, oh, at one point it got businessified. I think it got Hollywooded. It got the business side of things. Meaning, I think they had, maybe that wasn't always the case how they're doing it now. It was going to be
they
more.
never made a real thought-out sequel to it, and it worked out really well with 10 Cloverfield Lane because that was just a good movie.
Yeah.
And the marketing part of it helped it. But now it's clear that they're just using it to tack onto these movies that they already are making that they're like, oh, shit, no one's going to go see this. Like Event Horizon, like remake. Because just imagine, like, if this movie was the Stango Paradox, had nothing to do with Cloverfield. It was just
Not many
this
people
movie.
would watch it.
Would you even consider watching it? And if you had watched it, would you like this movie at all?
No, you're right. No, I wouldn't.
Whereas if it was 10 Stango Lane for the second movie, that still would be a good movie.
Yeah, you'd still
But
be
the Stango
right.
Paradox is not a good movie.
No, absolutely. It's just based on if it's a good movie or not. But
Clover
if it was
Stango's a great
Stango
movie.
Lane, when I've gone, yeah, you know what? Stango Lane, you had John Goodman in it, and you had the same trailer,
Right.
but it's not Cloverfield related.
Right.
I would have saw it.
Right. And instead, at the end, it's me coming out of a spaceship.
But if I, it's like, hi guys,
Expecting-
calling Jay Sherman's,
expecting someone else?
I'm not an alien. No, so yeah, you're right. But here's the thing: I will never stop wanting this to be a thing. So I will never stop wanting this universe to be more cohesive than it actually is. And they might be throwing a freaking loop, and it will start to get more like it's one of those things where it's like. Yeah, you're right, because what you're saying is the way that J.J. Abrams has it set up now, you can't stop this thing. You can't, there's no ending to it.
Yeah, because he can just acquire scripts that have third act problems and be like, you know what? You don't have to worry about an ending because there's going to be a Cloverfield monster at the end, so don't worry about it. And that's how this feels because the original script for Cloverfield Lane was called The Bunker, I believe. And that's how it was promoted. And you didn't know anything about it. You didn't know it was a Cloverfield movie. And I think I loved that movie, and I did like that it was connected to Cloverfield. But I think if it wasn't a Cloverfield movie, it would be even more interesting because you wouldn't know for a fact whether John Goodman's character, was lying or not. Because that's part of the thing that's ruined by knowing it's a Cloverfield movie is that he's telling the truth that there are things out there. Now, he wasn't correct as to what those were because he thought it was gas or something like that. But it turned out to be monsters. But if that was a movie where you didn't know if he was a crazy man or actually saving her, and then he kind of was saving her at the end, which he did.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a better movie, but that was still a great movie no matter what. This movie is a bad movie.
Yeah.
Because it's just another space station movie. I saw Life this past year. It's the same thing as Life, right? It's the same thing. I watched Geostorm, and part of that movie was on a space station.
Oh, you're the guy?
I mean, but that was on a space station. I'm just not a space station movie guy. It's the same tropes every time. It's looking through the glass, and I want to go in there. No, you can't go in there.
You're right.
Oh, boom! They go out.
It's paint by numbers.
Yeah, and that's as soon as it's in a space station, I'm out.
Unless Jennifer Lawrence in it, Passengers was decent.
Oh,
I
the
thought
love story
Passengers was bombed.
You know what? It did okay.
I did okay.
It did Boffo box office overseas.
If you do aliens, if you do an alien thing to me, or if you do alien stuff, or you do time travel, I'm in. Like, if I know that that's the case beforehand, I'm in.
So you're a space station movie guy. You like that?
I can like it. I think I like the fact. I was going to defend it by saying I like the fact there was a bunch of people nobody knows in this movie.
Well, Chris
O'Dowd's, but he's not like a leading man. Like, he's usually comic relief, like Bridesmaids or whatever else it is. So, and I thought he was good in this. But you're right. The more I think about it, I was disappointed by the actual movie. But if you really think about it, they gave you way more info on the universe.
Well, I mean, the inciting event was what we saw, right?
The event, I think they're alluding to the fact of what we said.
Yeah.
That they knew you'd figure out. But here's the thing that sucks is this. It makes the Japanese company null and void.
I know.
Because then that's not the reason. So John Goodman working for them had nothing to do about why he knew there was aliens.
Like, I guess you could just have something like, oh, the Japanese company is the ones who funded or was a private company that funded a lot of the space mission.
Maybe shadow company. Maybe it's the shadow company behind this.
But it makes them a lot less nefarious. And yeah, it does make all of the cool theories that we were interested in after the first two movies kind of not matter anymore.
Yeah, because they're not Earth-based.
It's not exactly.
Yeah.
It's not Earth-based, and now it's more like just this accident. And then this accident that says, hey, anything could happen going forward.
Right.
Nothing ever has to make sense.
And that kind of
again.
fucks it up.
Because everything made sense up to or at least everything was set up in a way that it could be still Earth-based and make sense. And now it can't anymore.
And after we saw 10 Cloverfield Lane, I was like, oh, this is all the same night, and there's just an alien invasion, and this monster's part of that alien invasion. And I'm like, so they had it happening out in the farmland, and even if that was like upstate New York or something, and it's like, oh, they just did they were a very organized military invasion of the planet, and they had ships, they have monsters, they have whatever it is. That's what I thought it was more structured than it actually was. But what they're saying now is like, no, the 10 Cloverfield Lane was one time. I don't think it was the same year as the first movie. I really don't. I think they're going to tell you that. So every movie isn't just going to be a different place. It's going to be a different moment in time, same dimension.
Because it's just going to be all these
period.
movies that he looks at in editing is like, son of a bitch, make it Cloverfield.
People are picking up on that very quickly. So basically, if you don't make the next one an organic Cloverfield movie, that's cool.
Which I guess he's not going to do. I mean, why didn't he do it after the first one?
So, guys, let's write a crappy Black Mirror ripoff type script and then have the ending be shit and try to send it to him and be like, listen, I'm stuck. Can you make this a Cloverfield?
That's how it goes. Like he's your teacher in school.
But it could be
Mr. Abrams.
He's like, have you thought of making it a Cloverfield?
They should have an app, Cloverfield Your Movie.
No, we need to have that app.
We should have the app where it's like, it's just us, but like it's you and your blog, the video blog. It's like, this blog's no good. Just, I don't know. I need a space-time continuum rip.
But it could be any kind of movie because, like, the second one was sort of like this one location play. The third one is a space movie. So it could be like if J.J. Abrams, like, produced a terrible, like, teen sex comedy that's not just, like, not getting laughs and test screenings. He's like,
the Cloverfield Monster is the dean of the college? You know, no gallivanting around campus. It's Van Wilder, but with
Cloverfield High.
It's just a Cloverfield Monster with a Letterman sweater on.
Yeah. With a C.
A big C on there.
by the end of this year, we're going to lose our virginity
We're gonna get
to 10 Cloverfield monsters.
We're gonna party so hard. We're gonna place a rip in the space-time continuum. You thought that hand by itself, hey, or they're gonna like start to do like jokes, do, like masturbation jokes off the hand by itself. Like, hey, I wish I had one of those. Huh? Hey, that's the actual stranger.
Yeah.
I've heard of the stranger, but this is ridiculous.
Where'd you get all that beer, Todd? I don't know. I reached my hand through a wall and it just came out.
Yeah. It took my hand, but more beer. Yeah, you're right. He can just do anything.
High.
Cloverfield High. We're gonna do it. It's just like I just love it with the Cloverfield monster in the Letterman sweater with his arms folded like Fonzie, just his back up against the wall like what?
I can
wait,
make
JJ
any of these girls prom queen.
So J.J. Abrams is directing Star Wars Episode 9. What if halfway through editing on that, he's like, "Oh man, the Star Wars movie's not working."
It becomes a Cloverfield movie.
It becomes a Cloverfield movie.
You're right. All right, so I get it.
Return
The
of the
quality,
Cloverfield.
the quality is suffering, but people know that now. People are shitting on this thing left and right, and
Yeah.
the theory is that it got dumped on Netflix because it wasn't good enough for the theaters, and they realized that kind of late, I guess, or something.
Oh, I mean, if this wasn't a surprise, I mean, this was a feat of marketing, right? Because if it wasn't a surprise right after the Super Bowl, I probably would have stopped watching this movie. And I definitely would have after the reviews.
If it wasn't Cloverfield, I don't care how bad it is. If I'm going to get more info about the Cloverfield universe,
So this is not gonna warn you off the franchise at all.
no, I'll watch the next
You're
one.
in for Dunkirk.
A Dunkirk Cloverfield?
Yeah.
Dun Cloverfield?
That's amazing that he guessed that.
That's funny. That's so funny that he did that. But yeah, I am. I am because I have this hope.
What else are you
Here's the
gonna
thing.
do?
What else am I going to do? First of all,
I mean, that's me.
I'm not going to do exercise.
Yeah, come on.
And also, J.J. Abrams, I have because of the Star Wars. Like, I saw the Han Solo thing looks great. Like, the guy has such a great. Also, he learned his lesson from Lost. So what you hope is that he's like, hey, here's these franchise movies, but then we have an organic Cloverfield thing for you guys that you're going to love, and it's another monster movie. That's why I guess the next one is, like you said, the World War II one.
Well,
So
did you hear though about Lost? Because now people have figured out what happened with Lost. Those were just Fantasy Island rejected scripts that he was like, "Oh, let's make that a Lost."
We'll put a smoke monster in there.
Yeah, one was
Lost
there was
High.
a Wings that was a rejected Wings script that he made a Lost.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. No, I'm a diehard Lost person. I think the guy's he's too good to not take. Like, it sucks, you're right, but he's too good not to take this feedback and be like, oh shit, this better be great. Because like you said, the next World War II, is it a slap-on again?
It is a slap-on.
It's a slap-on.
They've not written and made a actual planned sequel to Cloverfield.
I don't see, maybe because the first one didn't do as well as they wanted? Is that what happened? Or,
No, Cloverfield was a huge hit.
Then why is this happening like
And
this?
people want it. They've wanted it from day one. It's
You
just a
have to-
weird
you
thing.
need a canon one. You need a one that's like, there's the Japanese businessmen in it from the company. There's a Cloverfield Industries. There's whatever. Like, you need a in the world fucking Cloverfield movie, or you're gonna lose. If the next one's a slap on and it's not more info and it doesn't realize like, oh, like there's not awareness, like it's not standalone. So there has to be brand awareness. There has to be a thing in the middle of the movie that they go, oh my god, this is happening all over these dimensions, and we know because of this Japanese company's technology, we have to find a solution to it where it's like we can find an ending to the world. If they don't have that, I'll stop watching.
Well, this movie felt like a stopgap. It felt like a movie that you put out so that the momentum for the Cloverfield
Doesn't
brand
stop.
won't stop.
Which
And
is
I think,
weird because the other one didn't come out that long ago. It came out a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
or 2
yeah.
years
But
ago.
I think he was saying in interviews that he wanted to do Cloverfield movies every year. So he wanted to do, but
do
so
it for real, right?
I don't think this is his main focus.
No, it's not his main
Star
focus,
Wars.
but he's directing. He's doing Star Wars. But here's the thing: it's like he has good people on it. He's not directing these anyway. He's just producing these. But if your name's on it, your name's on it, and they have such a good track record, why wouldn't you want to be like, okay, people are clamoring for a real one. Here's a real one. Like, all right, we have to wrap up. But like, what do you guys? So you think the next one's a slap on? Will they redeem themselves? Yes or no?
I mean,
Based on it's J.J. Abrams, and
I will
everything's
say-
real time,
I
so
will
people
say
are yelling about him
I'm
about
more
this.
interested in that setting because I agree with Clayton. I'm not excited when I hear there's going to be a movie just set in a space shuttle. So like this setting wasn't as exciting to me as the next one being set in Nazi Germany.
That's more
I
exciting
think
too.
Nazi Germany is a much better fit.
Will you watch Dunkirk,
Yes,
Cloverfield?
Of course. course.
Yes, yeah,
Of
yeah,
I watch
yeah.
everything. I
I'll
went to go
watch-
see Winchester last night at 10:45.
I just went and saw Winchester before we did this podcast.
You know why? Because after this, we have to go do our podcast where we're talking about Winchester. So of course we'll see it. It's a movie.
What about you? But you out?
Oh no, I'll 100% see it.
Yeah.
I'll 100% see it.
Right, but do you lose faith in the brand?
I mean, I a little bit. I mean, I don't like the fact that every script is just like a acquired script that they couldn't make work, and then he slaps a Cloverfield on it.
People know too much. You can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
People know too much about Hollywood to realize that's what's happening. And if you don't have, like, the last one's so good, but even did that do really well? The last one,
It did fine. It didn't do boffo box office, but it wasn't, a dud.
And it was also
Wasn't a
really
bomb.
low budget. Like
It was really low
I think
budget,
the
but
difference is 10 Cloverfield Lane was pretty low budget and it did well, so it made a lot of money. This movie was definitely way higher budget, and they had to sell it to Netflix because if they put it in the theater and then spent more money on advertising it for a theater release, they would have lost a shitload of money.
It would have bombed because Life bombed, and then Alien Covenant bombed, and there's the similar kind of movies, the space station alien type movies.
Yeah.
They saw that. They saw that's not gonna. It's not gonna make. It's not gonna make bank.
And Netflix definitely. I mean, no one knows how the hell they're making money on all the. I mean, obviously they have a lot of subscribers, but they're way overspending just to get
subscribers.
press. Yeah.
and subscribers. They want worldwide subscribers.
Yeah.
Right.
And people have to learn. I don't know. I was talking to somebody about this recently. People like from Logan. Learn from Logan. Logan was a huge box office hit, right?
Oh yeah.
And take the story of whatever brand you have and make it like a grittier and more indie looking. Not indie looking, but I mean like it's like you flip it on its head almost.
Right.
Like
You
how
can do a
Logan
different
did it.
genre.
I don't watch X-Men movies, and I was dying when Logan came out. I was so excited.
Well, Logan is a modern Western, which is what we were talking about earlier in the elevator.
Yeah, it is,
That
yeah.
It's a great modern Western.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And
the
you know
X-Men
there's going to
universe.
be a Western someday where the Cloverfield monster shows up.
Yes. Oh well, that's Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah, aliens. So is it just gonna be? He's gonna re-edit that.
Yeah.
And just slap a huge Cloverfield monster on it.
Well, thank you guys so much for doing this. Please, pop your podcasts. Please promote your podcast.
Sure.
Yeah.
How to Watch Movies the Right Way is our podcast. So
It's the definitive movie podcast.
it's the only one you should be listening to. So our big thing the last few episodes, we've been reviewing a lot of movies, of course, but we've also been smearing the favorites for the Oscars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we go through each
Smear
category.
campaign?
We
Yeah.
smear campaign them.
Oh, that's
so
great.
we smeared Frances McDormand last episode. We smeared
Sam Rockwell.
We smear Gary Oldman.
What?
Gary Oldman's the easiest to smear.
Oh, he's a monster.
Yeah,
he's the real Cloverfield monster.
Well, thank you guys so much for doing this, and I'd love to have you back. We'll do another universe when the next
Yeah.
Cloverfield Universe movie comes
Yeah.
out, or we'll do a Star Wars one when Han
Which is
comes
gonna
out.
be a Cloverfield
Solo
movie.
comes out. What?
which will be a Cloverfield.
It will be.
movie.
So we'll kill two birds with one stone. Thank you so much for doing this, guys. Anything else you want to do? Twitters or anything? Twitter.
Well, email us.
Email you guys
Oh,
at
yeah,
where?
email us at howtowatchamoviespodcast@gmail. We're dying for emails.
Yes, and email us at defendyourmovie@gmail.com. Also, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/defendyourmovie. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/defendyourmovie. Check out Showbiz Studios. Thank you so much to Alex. We missed Farrah. Sorry, Farrah. We love you. We'll see you next time. And we really appreciate you listening, and hit us up. Love you. Bye.
I love this song.
Defend your movie.
My friend, there's a time